Yes, now we are going over to a session regarding global cooperation, manufacturing. This session will be in 3 parts. One part is, let's say, setting a little bit the scene from us. Let's say that you're aware of what we are doing.
You have to do better. You have to be more.
That's a wrong signal, maybe from the parallel meeting. Okay. The first part will be a little bit setting the scene, which Ernst and myself will do. Then we go over to, crossing the fingers, to a live connection to the USA, to Greenville in South Carolina, because there's a parallel event at Sesame. Hopefully it will run. I'm still a little bit nervous if this will run, but let's see. We will handle this. And then we are coming back and addressing in the last topic a little bit the implementation from Europe. We have Oscar here, Oscar somewhere here, and we have Davide, and I see also Ahmed from France here, so how we implement this then further in Europe. So let's start, and maybe Ernst, you make a short intro about this.
Maybe only a few words. Hello all. I think it's a great moment today, yeah? I think it was a long journey to arrive at this stage. 8 years or 9 years?
Yes, roughly.
8 or 9 years it took from Platform Industry 4.0 with its strong network to IEF, France, to Italy, Confindustria, and to others, to work on the networking, on networks, Industry 4.0. And I just remember when Mr. Russwurm, the BDI president, at the Hanover Fair, he saw the timeline of platform or of Industry 4.0, and he saw what was written in 2011, I guess. Yeah. And it was really to use data in networks across company borders and country borders. It was literally written there. And so, to a certain extent, it's surprising that it took almost 10 years, I would say, to come to this stage. I would like to say that a strong network of Industry 4.0 platforms across Europe and with our partners in Japan, US, in Korea and other countries, we managed to build strong partnerships and to be able now to announce International Manufacturing X Council. It was already done 2 weeks ago in Japan. I think it was a great success. Thomas will later on explain what we want to do with the Manufacturing X Council a little bit more. But just to the beginning, what is the key idea behind? Value chains are simply global. We cannot only present European solutions and to expect all other continents just to say, perfect, we go along with you. And this is a real challenge to develop something which is global, because companies are very clear, value chains are global. We have to address and to build global data spaces or global data ecosystems. We will learn more about it later, and I think the whole day the topic was well mentioned. You said data spaces are now mushrooming.
Yes, that was.
And I think it's the best time to start an International Manufacturing X Council. It will take a lot of efforts to build it up. You're all invited to participate. Rules and how we do it will be announced in the next month or developed in the next month. And Thomas, I would say you take over again.
Yes, and maybe to add on this, because we have discussed, for example, in the HPC session before, is this in contradiction? What we are building up in Europe, by far not, is complementary. That's the first topic, and only to say it, we have done, looking to Ahmed, I think since 10 years a cooperation with France, it was the first one, and with Italy, looking to Davide and Sergio when he's somewhere in the room, only to closing loop, and now we are setting it a little bit on the level from international. Maybe we start with a short video from Professor Kagermann, and I apologize when I'm looking down to my watch, because we have to be sharp in time when we are handing over to the US. So maybe first video, please. And hopefully it's coming. The first video. Hello.
Now he is coming here.
Okay.
About 10 years ago, the final report of the working group Industry 4.0 was presented at the Hanover Fair to the German Chancellor and the international community. The strategic project started already in 2010 under the impression of the severe economic and financial crisis. Our goal was to strengthen the economic competitiveness by lifting the industry to a new level of adaptability and sustainability. Resilience was also a hot topic. The resilient factory, the first use case described in this report. In particular, the plug and produce capability was mentioned. That means that you are able to seamlessly replace an equipment by equipment from another vendor or to extend the setup of the production floor according to new demand. Another important topic was business model innovation. Future business models are based on smart services, and smart services are delivered on demand. They are tailor-made to customers' needs and a kind of a product service bundle that cannot be provided by a single company, but more from dynamic digital ecosystems across industries. To build resilient value chains, it's mandatory that you now can also easily substitute a business partner in an ecosystem by another one or extend the ecosystem by a new one. So the requirement of semantic interoperability that was raised by a resilient factory is now extended to all three dimensions, the technological, the business, and legal aspects, which makes international cooperation even more important. To understand the motivation and the approaches from other countries, Akatech conducted in 2017 a study, Industry 4.0 in the global context, commissioned by the Ministry of Economics. Of course, we found differences, but also common objectives that were on top of the priority list of all countries. Semantic interoperability by means of international standards, data security and data sovereignty, and the enablement of small and medium-sized enterprises. Small and medium-sized enterprise enablement can be achieved by giving these companies easy access to test beds and international cooperation. And that's what the Labs Network Industry 4.0 has achieved in the past, which I believe is a great success for proving international cooperation in practice. However, in particular, the small and medium-sized enterprises were reluctant to share data, in particular, sharing data via central digital platforms. But as we know, sharing data is necessary if you want to manage the cooperation within digital ecosystems as well as a collaboration between ecosystems. So the appropriate solution are open and federated data spaces with some architectural guidelines that support the trusted data exchange and guarantee data security and sovereignty as requested from all the interviews. At the same time, we finished a comprehensive study on the impact of autonomous systems in all phases of a citizen's daily life, at home, on the road, and at work. And the study confirmed the conviction of most experts that autonomous systems are mandatory to achieve the degree of adaptability and flexibility needed to implement Industry 4.0. With that, we have two additional challenges. One is the interaction between machines and humans. The gap is closing, so the interaction is becoming more similar to interacting with people in digital society. So together with experts from Japan, we investigated the future of human-machine collaboration and agreed how important it is to understand the historical and cultural background of the respective countries in order to find common solutions. The second challenge is machine-to-machine cooperation, in particular in distributed global setups, and to provide the guaranteed latency and bandwidth which is needed. And the answer is not the, let's say, original two-tier architecture that was shown in 2012 and 13, like smart machines on premise and public clouds. It's more a multi-tier architecture, a kind of an edge cloud continuum, which ranges from smart machines, on-premise edges, telco edges, to the cloud provider. The Manufacturing X initiative takes all these findings into account. It aims to implement decentralized and collaborative data spaces for smart manufacturing industries. The ambition is to set up a global foundation for resilient, sovereign, and climate-neutral production. And no country can achieve this alone. International cooperation, building on the positive experiences and the achievements from the past, is crucial to success. So the establishment of an international Manufacturing X Council is a promising and future-oriented step, and I wish all of you great success for a powerful start to lift international cooperation to the next level.
But I cannot hear it. But maybe some words, because Henning is well known in several regions of the world. He's a former CEO. I think, Laura, it was also during your time he was a boss, I think, some years ago. And Akatech is somehow the think tank for German government to explain a little bit. I think think tank would be Ernst the best description about how we put it forward, how we can, what our future thoughts. He's handling also some kind of research discussions with the Chancellor and so on. But he's also well known around the world. And what he said also regarding the multi-tier architecture, two-tier architecture, how this is developing, also quite relevant for us as BDVA, where we're focusing on data space. Like you mentioned, with a mushrooming example, which I have given. Now it's going 2-3 slides about what is behind this. You hear a little bit of motivation from Ernst. You have also heard from Henning a little bit the overall picture. And now I will give you some 2-3 slides about this. Maybe you just go ahead with the slide. Also Manufacturing X is challenging, to develop. And we have spoken in the beginning about digitalisation and the merge from the real and virtual world in different domains, but here we are focusing on manufacturing domains, and really is challenges across the world. That's what we are doing with Manufacturing X. And I said in the morning also one of the simple use cases was with the product carbon footprint, and said we have to share some kind of controlled data, that we need data spaces, and now the screen is popping up, that's perfect. And how we not only focused on manufacturing industry, because we have also the link to energy or mobility when you're speaking about logistic data space, where the, let's say also the colleagues from Netherlands are active in. Maybe please to the next slide. What we are targeting, and you see it here, and I have described this in words. On the left side, a circle regarding touching different domains. It could be from, you see the car, Catena X, for example, automotive industry. You see on the left side some kind of machine, so machine tool building industry. You see this chemical topic for the process industry. You see energy with a plug, and so on, food and beverage, only to give you some examples. The meaning we want to target with this, let's say, different verticals which are somehow covered under the term manufacturing or manufacturing X. And what we want to achieve, sorry, one back, and what we want to achieve is exactly what you see on the right side, resilience. Think about my words before, also resilience to have, for example, not a shortage of chips, which we have some years, or popping up. Okay, I thought the mic is more sustainable, but maybe not. Sustainability, CO2 is a classical example, which I mentioned before, also in the morning, to optimize the CO2 footprint, or the product carbon footprint, to reduce the emission. Only one example, other example would be battery recycling, and for sure to increase the competitiveness, because with data you can put, optimize your own processes, or your processes, not in your own, sondern also processes, but you can target also new business opportunities. And therefore, and now you're going forward, we have filed some kind of reference framework. You see here on the top, again here, what's the impact, what we want to achieve. Here you see here some kind of future business models. Is this as a service, or is this a digital product and services, only to give a feeling? Then you have a huge bunch of different use cases. This is somehow the bluish box. This is a little bit more focused as example for machine tool industry, but that's the reason why we have some ... on the right side. We have here the shared services. It can be an OPC, that can be an Eclipse data space connector to connect data rooms, can be an asset administration shell, can be, we can extend the list. We have to look how we are running this. This is somehow this with a shared technology level. And last but not least, we are all aware that, for example, reporting CO2 footprint, digital product passport, battery passport, again, standards, what we have to achieve, which we have to address, and which we want to address, also not only to fulfill the regulations, because it's also an opportunity for us. So this is somehow what we named as a foundational framework for IMX. And how we are doing this, and here you see it again. On the left side, these are some kind of initiatives. It could be Alliance Industrie du Futur, Platform Industrie 4.0, CESMI, where we are connecting soon to these colleagues. Then we have also the layer around, which I cannot read, regarding infrastructures. It could be in GAIA-X, could be an Eclipse data space connector, could be in Data-X, or in Japan they have an Oranos initiative, only to give an example. But nevertheless, to look at this, and last but not least, the standards, OPC I mentioned, E-Class, and battery passport I mentioned also before. Also meaning, because these are all aspects which we have to target, let's say, on an international level, which we have to look at it. And what we want to do, you see it here in the middle row, or in the right row, and this is exactly where this council is about, this International Manufacturing Council is about. Orchestrate and cooperate, were useful, were appropriate in projects. Influence and use, it is more to use what could be an appropriate infrastructure. And let's say define, lobby is maybe a tricky word, but define and provide opinion what is needed on the standard and regulation level. And this we want to achieve here in an international context. This is a box here on the right side, which you see. And when you're now going ahead, a little bit deeping in what we want to do, understanding. I think there was also in the morning a discussion about definitions, how we are speaking about. Connect and cooperate were relevant, also to other domains. I mentioned energy, logistics, and mobility, for example, before. Open exchange of regional initiative. It could be a project, could be also another opportunity. Define a framework. I've just shown one framework above on a little bit of high level. Drive international harmonization and standardization. Key for industry, because we want to sell around the world the products and solution, and we have to agree on also regarding data economy, also data spaces, on some kind of joint standards what we want to achieve. Discussion of use cases and joint projects, because we can all learn from each other. conferences and event and. Also meaning this is somehow a setup what we want to address. Looking before a little bit in the exactly the slide before, only to give you a feeling what is behind and what we want to do. And now going to the next slide, hopefully. Next slide, sometimes it's working. Who's at the moment with us? And you see it here also, let's say some logos. You see on the left side, CESME, that's exactly the colleagues in the US. We have Alliance Institut du Futur. You see it here. This is more lila or violet logo. Initiative from Austria, initiative from Korea. Initiative, you see the yellow one, Smart Industries, that's Netherlands. They are focusing with mainly on the logistic part. You see here Cosmos, that's Korea, Confindustria, Italy, and we see here this bluish one is from Canada. The initiative, and from Industry 4.0 Germany is a logo. Also meaning we have up to now 8 partners here, or 9 partners, but I know that we get calls from other European countries. We are also discussing and looking to Oscar regarding Spain, and to be honest, why is Oscar sitting here? We are using or facilitating or cooperating with the CSA regarding smart manufacturing, because it's essential also for us to provide the adequate input also in this international arena, and to make it on the international level, and think about what we want to achieve for us all. For example, with the standards topics, with the topics that we can exchange information in a controlled way, and don't get it in the sense that we are, let's say, opening everything up. This is not the issue, and on the contrary, we have to look at how we're doing this in a clever way and find the right balance. And like Ernst said in the beginning, we have here also this kind of manufacturing is international, and we have to look how we are doing this. So this is a little bit extended, and now when you're just going one slide ahead, and because I'm just to have the watch, like I said before, because you want to set or to connect in time to the. Now it's coming back to the US. Hopefully, crossing the fingers, this will work. Maybe we will have, you know, we designed it in a little bit of rush, like always. Looking to you, you know, this meeting in Brussels was exactly before the summer break. Now we are setting up, let's say, in some kind of organization, and I can tell you that takes me some minutes to work on it, on a lot of people, but we will look further and planning, if possible, Ahmed, in Paris, maybe mid of January, the kick-off, because now we are in let's say, in a foundational phase, and have to adjust a bit more our rules of cooperation, and for sure in this, like said before, we have to look a little bit more what is from the possible from the collaboration aspects. And you'll see here Oscar's and my logo, and at least we are the person taking care of this. So many thanks, and the video from Japan we skip. That's the reason. But we put it on the network. I think it's also fruitful, and now we are connected to the US. Crossing the finger, now it come a little bit of challenging moment.
Yeah, this is a very exciting moment. We are now trying to connect with the US, so I look at the colleagues in the control room.
On the bottom there is really important because it puts everything in a nutshell. IMX will implement a federated, decentralized, and collaborative data ecosystem for smart manufacturing, and that really on the global level. And we also got a vision.
Yeah, and I think it's important to underscore that manufacturing operations, in many cases, struggle to exchange data within their own data silos. And so we understand that, which at its core is part of what CESME, platform industry, and other manufacturing regions are addressing at a national level, but the massive opportunity that we have to advance the state of manufacturing competitiveness is going to be around enabling that flow of data across our supply chains. And so these three core pillars of resilience, sustainability, and competitiveness to, number one, help us reorganize and increase flexibility and autonomy of industrial value chains and networks, increase the efficiency, enable data-driven solutions for greenhouse gas, carbon emissions, and the circular economy, and last but not least, accelerating digital innovations and enable new data-driven business models to create new value for manufacturing. This elevates these objectives from within the enterprise to the supply chain, and this is how we allow particularly the sort of top-down pull from the large enterprises in this manufacturing environment and the sort of grassroots ability for the small, medium enterprises to engage in this value creation exercise. Without this sort of effort, we believe that digital divide remains and expands. We absolutely have to create the trust frameworks, the data sovereignty, simplification of data sovereignty policies and strategies, and all of the manufacturing technologies, data engineering, infrastructure, interoperability-related components have to come together in a much more effective way to bridge that digital divide and enable this sort of fundamental transformation of how manufacturing supply chains can work around the globe.
Right, and it's always good to have one slide that at least tries to explain it all.
Yeah.
This is the one you see here. This is trying to explain how IMX should actually work, and of course you're going to get those slides later on. So, if you look at the bottom, it starts with the thing that is really essential, with regulatory framework and standards. If you don't have the standards and the framework, we cannot collaborate. It's just impossible. You can have the best technical devices, it just won't interoperate. Then you need shared technological base layers, of course, and this is where we start talking about things with Sesame and with others. This is where we start cooperating. Then we have shared services, of course, that companies can rely on, really. And then you come to the business cases. You got to have those foundations first, and this is what we work on very hard these days. And then you're going to have the business cases. And this is not a list that is finalized. You have product innovation that will come about, collaboration, efficiency, product optimization, autonomous factory on a totally different level than we see it today. Supply chain transparency, resilience, a thing that is very important to us in Germany as well. Energy, greenhouse gases, circular economy, and this list goes on. And it's like with all the other technological innovations, I don't want to mention the internet, but nobody would have thought of what will come out of it. And neither can we. There will be many business cases that we cannot think of today that will be based upon this idea. I'm very convinced of that. And in the end, we will have digital products, of course, that will all lead to the facts that John just described. It's about resilience, sustainability, and competitiveness.
And a powerful part of sort of the framework around all this is the people side. And a significant effort will be made to ensure that the workforce, all of the different functional roles that are part of this transformation and part of this initiative are engaged in an effective way around these important initiatives. At a macro level, this is about taking this community, all of the key stakeholders here as a part of this community, and connecting value chains, implementing the global foundations for data-driven, resilient, sovereign, and climate-neutral production, and enabling innovation at a scale that we haven't seen today. This is truly about the democratization of smart manufacturing to create a more productive, more sustainable, and more effective, competitive manufacturing environment.
Now, you might be wondering, okay, where are you at with all this now? This is where we have the action coming in here. So what we are trying to do now, and we're actually doing it, is we're providing use cases, very practical use cases that we also already offered at Hanover Fair and other fairs that will present to the public, to the interested public, of what it is in the end that we are trying to establish here. And we're also talking with standardization boards right now all over the world in order to get those foundations in line very, very early on. And in the end, and maybe last but not least, we're trying to provide guidelines. on how to use that in order to make it scalable and to scale it up. And this is very important, I think, also for the US, but also for Germany, because it was said before, the big companies, we don't have to worry about very much. They will be able to deal with all this quite well. The small and medium-sized companies, the German Mittelstand, this is the companies that we need to really address, and this is where guidelines and help will come into place in order to have them on board and to scale it up on that level as well.
Outstanding. So, in conclusion, a couple of things. I have the privilege of representing the United States of America on this new International Manufacturing X Council. There are a collection of 10 countries, I believe at this moment, that are part of this, and that number is growing. There are more details available. If you are interested in what we've discussed here and announced here today, please open up your camera or approach us in the booth and talk to us about International Manufacturing X. This presentation, an extended version of this, is available online as well, and we'd welcome the chance to share that with you.
Yeah, last but not least, we were just saying this needs to be international. And international, you know, is much more than US and Germany together. This is important, of course, as a nucleus. But you can see here that we have 8 countries aboard already, and we just started, actually. So if you look at those countries here, it's Austria, it's France, it's Japan, it's the Netherlands, it's of course the US, it's Germany, it's Canada, Italy, Australia, and South Korea. So the industry-strong countries we got aboard, we're just starting, but there's a great road ahead of us.
Thank you, Tom.
Home, you have something to say, you know, it wasn't an empty trip. Sure, we'll talk about salary. So, what we've, just looking at this slide, what's evident is this announcement of International Manufacturing X is clearly bigger than this part of a conference center, bigger than Greenville, bigger than anything. And this is something exciting. But with such a massive reach, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to open up a live feed right now to the European Big Data Value Forum in Valencia, Spain. And it is very weird seeing ourselves on stage, but I want to hand it over to my moderator counterpart, that side of the event, Anna Garcia. Anna, I think the camera's there. Anna, the stage is yours.
Hello. Greetings from Valencia. I hope you can hear me well. Just give me a sign that the sound is good. Can you hear me?
Now.
Excellent. Well, greetings from Valencia from the European Big Data Value Forum. And we are really glad of being here. It's very exciting. We had similar presentations just before. And well, Simon, how is it going over there?
It's going quite well.
Excellent. So we have a few questions here for the panelists over there. I don't know whether Kelly is in the room.
And I think the
Henning
camera is
in the room,
behind
yes.
you, just as the camera here is behind me.
No, the quality of the sound is not very good, so we couldn't understand you here.
Anna, the joys of industrial FaceTime here. Anna, the camera is to your right, facing your stage. Perfect.
Okay. That's very good. So I just, we were wondering whether we could ask a question to Kelly.
Yes, here.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Now we see well. Kelly, we have a question here for you. SESME is one of the 17 competence centers from the Manufacturing USA initiative. So tell us, what are the specific focus topics in the USA in the area of manufacturing? And also, what are your expectations from the International Manufacturing X Council?
Great, thank you for the question. So Manufacturing USA, 17 institutes covering a range of topics, everything from the digital thread and smart manufacturing, cybersecurity, the things we're talking about here today, to the hardware and the materials, from composites, lightweight materials, bioprocessing, and many more. There is one new institute. There's a request for information out around semiconductor manufacturing that will be run out of the Department of Commerce. So collectively, these institutes make up a national network. And as I said to our local audience here, this is something I personally have been working on for the last decade, and it is tremendously satisfying to see the success of these institutes collectively and the impact they're making, not just nationally, but now internationally. And so this program and the connectivity of the data is absolutely essential for us to be able to harness the power of the innovations coming out of these institutes to address opportunities for economic growth, as well as solve some of these very critical and important societal challenges we're facing with climate change, sustainability, circularity, and others. So it's a pleasure to be here, and so cool we're doing this international Zoom call.
This is great, Kelly, and we talk a lot about sustainability and impact here in the event. So thank you very much. We have now a question for Markus. And Markus, we know manufacturing is very important in Germany. So what is planned further in Germany, and how is the relation between Manufacturing X and other initiatives? And also, if you allow me, knowing that now International Manufacturing X Council is announced in Japan, Korea, and now in the US and Europe, now together. So what are your expectations also from manufacturing, International Manufacturing X, and what is the feedback that you are receiving from other countries?
Well, the bottom line for every participant, be it a company, be it a state or a country in the network, is that they want to excel in manufacturing. And that is something that has to do with a core of entrepreneurial spirit, thinking, and we believe that bringing all those together who think in essence the same way is a good thing. And in the end, there is an economy of scale to this as well, because the more people, companies, and countries join International Manufacturing X, the better the network, the ecosystem will be. And that is something that is very much in our thinking high on the agenda. So yes, for the German government, it's extremely important that we join forces, come together, exchange views, but then bring database manufacturing forward. And that is why we from the government try to support it the way we do. Thank you.
Anna, we have a question from our end. This is for Mr. Lazaro.
Perfect.
Oscar, from what we understand, you're headed up a significant initiative for Europe to support smart manufacturing. Could you share with the audience here in Greenville, as well and in Valencia, some of the content that you're orchestrating, as well as what you can see as some of the contributions to this announcement?
Yeah, I think Oscar can help us to answer this question.
Thank you, Anna, and happy to join the audience in the US here from Valencia. And getting back to your question, I think one of the things that we first realized when we were trying to bring together the right instrument to move forward in putting or making a reality these manufacturing data networks that we are trying to build with this initiative is that we needed to unify a number of elements. Manufacturing data networks are basically the results of aligning and unifying some views in terms of standards, investments, and efforts that, at least in Europe, they are now being pushed significantly, not only at European level, but at national level. We see that industry is very eager to take advantage of these new ways of exploiting data, but creating these data spaces and taking advantage of this manufacturing network requires that we run and we develop things a little bit in an innovative way. And if we really want to reach far, we need to be together. And this is basically what this effort and this association that was created, called Data Space 4.0, is really intended for. We understood that only sharing all the knowledge that was accumulated, only discussing and selecting all those standards that will make these data space networks a reality, we can really make a significant progress and make the global impact that we really need. These things will not affect just a single country, a single continent. It is something global, but it has to be built from the local effort, from the national effort. And this is what we are trying, and this is still an ongoing process. We are learning how to build these new ways of creating and aligning all these investments and visions together. And I guess the International Manufacturing Council will do nothing more than really bringing this joint effort to the global scale that we need.
Yeah, and I think actually from my side, I would like now to send a question back to your side, Simon, and in particular, I would like to know from John, as he's heading SESMI. I would like to know from you, John, what are your, what is your association planning as next steps as part of, the International Manufacturing X? And what do you think will be the contribution from your association to the initiative, to the global initiative?
Thank you. I appreciate that question very much. In many ways, what we're talking about doing here at the supply chain and at the national and international level is an extension of what we've been working on already with our friends from Germany to drive harmonization and interoperability and standardization of the sorts of activities and capabilities necessary to enable manufacturing, large and small. And so from our perspective, this is a very natural growth or extension of the work that we're doing. The charter we have from the Department of Energy for the next level of investment that they've shared with us and provided us with is around scale and deploy and how we can take these capabilities to the marketplace in a much more scaled up way. And so our opportunity is to channel this strategy and these funds to address exactly these challenges. How can we bring manufacturers and suppliers together in a much more real-time, heavily or well-orchestrated way to accomplish their business strategies? This is about value creation on a whole new scale. It takes more effective work at the plant, at the enterprise, at the supply chain, and then of course on an international level, how goods and services and data can be leveraged to accomplish that. So truly a natural of the work that SESMI's been privileged to do for a number of years, and obviously focused and supported and aided by the partnership with our friends from Germany, now expanded to a much larger global community.
Thank you.
Anna, we have a question from our end for Thomas Hahn, who I believe is sitting to your left, somewhere on the panel. I'm trying to figure out the industrial FaceTime or modern Zoom call here. But for Mr. Hahn, coming from an industrial company, what is your expectation of this announcement of International Manufacturing X? What would you like to see the Council pursue? And also for the audience here in Greenville and for the audience in Valencia, what's exciting about this for you?
mic. Now it's better. Sorry, there was a defect in the mic. Many thanks for the question, and yes, it's a pleasure for me to answer your the question, and a little bit from a perspective from industrial company. But I can tell you also for small and medium-sized enterprises is quite relevant. You know, when you're speaking about data economy, when you're looking around how you can optimize, topics. I think John, we were a little bit earlier connected to your conference, and you have also extended, presented about the resilience, about competitive and sustainability aspect. And only to look at the sustainability aspect, when you're really looking how we can optimize in this data, to get value out of the data, the product carbon footprint, or to reduce the CO2 emission, to make it quite pragmatic, or to have some kind of circular economy aspect, which was also addressed before, for batteries. This will help us. And here you need, and here are interested the bigger companies and the smaller companies, like I think from Tom mentioned before regarding German Mittelstand, but this is also true for other countries around the world. This will help us to optimize the existing processes for all our good, for our value, and to do it. Second issue is data or data economy, and again here is also true for small enterprises, but for big one is also to target to new business models, to new business opportunity. This is targeting a little bit the competitiveness topic which we have in our joint slide, and this is a second opportunity. So meaning small and big companies in the manufacturing domain, but you have seen also in the circle around connectivity to energy data spaces, to mobility or logistic data spaces is key for us to do this. For small and medium-sized enterprises, but for big one. And I'm more than happy. And when you are asking me about the expectation, I'm more than happy that we are really addressing around the world some kind of a joint framework. I've seen the slide which I have shown some minutes before in Valencia. This is first an achievement that we have really some kind of similar slide or similar framework. It's not about the slide, it's about the framework which we're targeting. And the second issue is really, for example, to drive international standardization, to look where we can collaborate, how we can exchange lessons learned, and how we can do for all of us something more beneficial in the future. And this is true for small enterprises and the big ones, so I see not a big topic. And let's say, looking really forward, and I have only to say, John, I think most probably we will meet us mid of January, because we will have some kickoff with all the others to make the next steps to start active working in this joint international manufacturing X Council. Many thanks and greetings to the US again.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn. And also, Anna, and to your panelists in Valencia, thank you for being able to join us on this live stream. I also want to send a big thank you here to our panelists in Greenville, Mr. Dyke, Mrs. Visconsi, Mr. Hess, Mr. Bantheim, Mr. Romas, and Mr. Kube for joining us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you from our side as well to the audience in Greenville and here in Valencia, and to the panelists as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
I think the right way is for us to all knock, but I am going to ask that we exit stage right. John, you're going to stay. Can't get rid of you, but if we exit stage right, we have a new...
Yeah, so I think also from our side, we continue here with the panel, but the connection now is cut. We continue the discussion. So also asking our control room now to go back to our initial discussion, if that's possible. That has been very exciting, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. I think the connection still stays open. Yeah. Video is open, but not the sound. I would like to ask to the control room to put us the visual of the panelists, because we invited our panelists to come on stage, and some of them, they already gave some statements, but it would be good to have that visual, so we can progress with some discussion here about the International Manufacturing X Council. So if that's feasible. Excellent. Thank you very much. As time is brief, I leave here with you the list of our panelists today, and I'm going to address you one by one. So, Ernst, you already gave us a very nice introduction, but I want to know a bit more, because I heard you are the architect behind, one of the architects behind. So tell us, what is your intention in Germany, in Europe, in the world? What is your dream?
Thank you for the question. I don't know if there really is the architect behind, maybe not, but there's one simple idea, very simple idea. Catena X, I think they do a great job as one of the biggest lighthouse projects on the basic ideas and principles of GAIA-X, of distributed, open and transparent data spaces and data ecosystems. And I think it's obvious the automotive value chain is extremely important, but I think there are a lot of suppliers, a lot of SMEs involved in an industrial economy, and it makes no sense only to invest in one big data space or data ecosystem. It must be huge. We must think of scaling up really, and really scaling up to a big extent. And the main idea was we should make somehow an initiative out of it to involve the complete industrial sectors. And it's even more because we know that if we talk about circular economy, we talk about lifetime of products. And I'm convinced if the industry really is completely committed to build up open, interoperable, global data spaces, we can create a lot of innovation, we can do sustainability, as it was said before. Can you imagine circular economy without having data across the lifetime collected, without building new marketplaces? So scaling up is maybe the most important thing. And how do you get SMEs on board, not only for a single use case? A single use case is there to convince that it works, but in the end you need a vision where to end up. And future economy will be totally data-driven, and only if you know how to use data across sectors, across maybe single solutions, then you have it much more easier. And what we are doing today is, or many projects or ideas, they are all trying to build the whole stack from the infrastructure up to the use case itself. And I would like to see the day where we have a lot of startups, a lot of intelligent companies across the world. They know how to use the data, not taking care about the infrastructure, about the scaling up, how it works, that we have those building blocks together and everybody understands how they come together, how they come to work together. And maybe one thing which was very important for me, I am so convinced that we need global participation. Only if all countries who are really interested, and the main industrial countries have a very huge interest shown in the last month, only then if they have the feelings they can contribute from the very beginning, we will get stable solutions in the end. And this is the main idea, and I believe in innovation in the future. And just coming back to Europe, what's in for us, if we know how to use those complicated data ecosystems, which will be one day quite easy and normal, then we can develop more. But we should really be ready for competition on the future applications and services. And I think we have all what we need in Europe to be competitive, but we need a level playing field in the data ecosystem itself. And that's the whole story about, quite simple, I would say, but a long way to go. Thank you.
Well, that's excellent. I mean, the momentum that you are creating, all the different regions of the world that Thomas showed before that are already so interested is moving apparently well. And I also, when we listened to Kelly, she was also mentioning about really bringing all these industries together. So obviously alignment is being created. So congratulations on the progress. I want to move now. We have talked a lot this morning and during the day about the data spaces, but also the common European data spaces. And I want to address, because there are some people in the panel here, in particular, Oscar, you've been coordinating, and I don't know whether still you are coordinating, but I don't know whether it's still active, but the coordinating and support action for the manufacturing data space as let's say, the beginning of the launch of the common European data space. So what are next steps, and also how do you see the connection?
Well, I think that probably data space, the CSA, data space 4.0, was really a good example of how different national platforms can really join forces. We see that many of the platforms that decided to join forces, to create this common knowledge pool, to unify these activities, are now moving forward, understanding that coordination is needed at European level, but there is an opportunity to go beyond the European dimension, and we need to understand that not only supply chains are global. When we build our manufacturing products, we have very well-known people in the panel that probably know better than me. We have to operate and integrate products from all over the world to make our machines. And our machines power different factories, not only in Europe, around the world in many sectors. So it is essential that we take this cross-sectorial perspective, this global perspective, because our products are made of components that are global and our solutions are global. And if we want to exploit the data to enrich and to make our products, our processes, production smarter, more cognitive, all these nice words, we need data to be global. And we need to build the trust element that will make the data really operate at that level. And trust is only built with cooperation. I mean, trust is not imposed, trust is built. And in order to build this trust, I think this is what initiated Data Space 4.0, and I think probably this is something very important if we want to see all the objectives that we have for the Manufacturing Council coming to life. So I see like a nice evolution of some vision that was shared by different national platforms: Germany, Spain, Italy, France, Netherlands, Austria. Hopefully I didn't forget any of the ones that really decided at some point that national things need to be put in place, but with a European vision. And I think after that, probably that is now augmented with a global one.
Very good. So you are really pulling all the European initiatives together, and now, thanks to this global initiative, really tackling these challenges of international, but also, as you said, cross-sectorial. So we have two important challenges ahead. I want to move now to Davide. And Davide, besides working for engineering and also being very connected to the Italian initiatives, he's also leading manufacturing together with Sergio here in the room, the manufacturing task force in BDVA. And you saw that I asked John before, what can your association do for this? No? What can be the role? And I'm asking you, and now of course we are not manufacturing association, we are data, we are AI, but what do you think BDVA can do to support international manufacturing X?
Is it working? Yeah. I would start from the V, actually. That is not one of the V's that we are used to big data, but that's the value, mostly. The big data value, mostly the value concept, is the one that we want to develop in the smart manufacturing industry group that I'm very happy to represent here. We are in the group roughly 130 people, and as you said, together with Sergio during the last 6 years, roughly, or even more, we had the chance to discuss with most of the members about use cases that are closer to the concept of the value that we have. So maybe the business driver that can create a use case, And around that, we made use of the group itself, of the various events that we have organized, to share knowledge among the group first, and among all the people that have been attending the events that we have organized. The goal we had was focusing on challenges, because it's good to describe a nice use case, but when it comes to put in place, to deploy the use case, you are facing a number of challenges. So the step was to leverage on the knowledge and experience from the group in terms of trying to deploy use cases and their experience in that. We've been able to capture that knowledge in a couple of papers over the years, and recently we set the roadmap for the group, following the new trends that we are discussing also these days. One is data spaces. That's mostly represent the concept of having data shared among a number of actors in the same value chain. So basically, the data is the raw material that you make use for the other two dimensions that we want to explore. One is artificial intelligence, of course, and combining the two, we selected the digital twin as the third dimension that we want to develop over the next years, hopefully. If we see BDVA and the group itself in a stack of organizations, I would say that we see at the bottom layer, those are more focusing on the infrastructure and the resources like GaiaX, international data space. We may have a middle layer that is represented by Fiverr, and at the top we have the business impact, the one that we are exploring and the one that we want to share also with all the community. By chance, I just mentioned the four represented the Data Space Business Alliance, and again, business remind the value that I mentioned before. So this is
very important, and I like very much that you mentioned the Data Spaces Business Alliance and the cooperation with Fiverr IDSA, GaiaX, and BDVA. And I think what is happening here on the stage is really important for our collaboration, and we more and more talk about this international collaboration as well. So that's very good. So thank you for bringing a few ideas of how can really also from BDVA support. I'm going to move soon to standards and support to SMEs, which is very important, but I have a curiosity and I want to ask Sebastian. Because Sebastian, I think you represent very important particular industry, right? Machine tool builders. So give me a bit your perspective from your industries, how you are seeing international manufacturing next.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you very much. First of all, regarding internationalization, it's like this. We are a German-Japanese company, so out of this point of view, we need to have an international standard, because otherwise it would be quite complicated to do that. The other aspect is that we have, let's say, 25% of our machines are going to Germany. The other 75% of the machines are going abroad. So also there we need a standard just from the market, because otherwise it would be very complicated if we have different solutions for the different markets. And then also maybe not internationalization, but also regarding markets and branches. So our customers are in different kind of branches, aerospace, energy, usual machining, then also medical, dye and mold, and maybe some others. And so we need there a standard that fits also to the other industries, because otherwise if there's no exchange between these branches, then it would be quite complicated. So that's more or less the reason why we need a standard international and a standard also across all the branches.
That's very good, and that helps me to bridge to the next question. As I said, I want to touch on the standards, and we have an expert also on the standards. We have several, but we are very glad to have Stefan here from the OPC Foundation. So, you know, from your perspective, what do we have to do, and how, you know, tell us more how all this fits within with International Manufacturing X.
Well, first of all, I'm proud to be part of this because you have seen that OPCA is one of the key technologies, and there's a reason behind it. This is what we can bring into this project, because it's a de facto standard for this semantic in the discrete manufacturing and process and also energy area. So DMG Mori, SAP, Siemens, and 950 other companies are part of this international initiative. And when I noticed John Dyke, the leader of SESME, we have been brought together years ago, and together this is the world's largest pool of standardized information models in this manufacturing space. What I love on this Manufacturing X is, and that's what I believe is the key, till now everybody has been in his own camp. There have been so many cloud initiatives and cloud conferences, and all attendees are from cloud and IT world and so on. And guess what? It's the same in the operational technology world. Normally I'm on other trade shows. And exactly now, maybe first time, we bring together the people to solve something which only we can together solve. When I proudly mentioned we are offering the world's largest pool of semantic interoperability, that's true. And we can exchange information, but we never touched governments. So we are thinking in exactly the building blocks what Ernst mentioned, and I'm proud to be part of your dreams nights, because we are exactly touching specific areas, not like infrastructure. This is coming from others, and we are not touching other areas, but we are proud on our key competence. And bringing this now internationally together, with everything, with data spaces, governance, with all the knowledge of other standardization bodies, that makes definitely sense, and we are proud to help to accelerate this dramatically.
Very good. So for what I understand, there is a very good baseline, right? And that's very important. So it seems that, you know, the steps that you are taking are the right ones. So thank you also. Let's touch on another very important part. I know manufacturing, well, in mostly the majority of the businesses, but I know how important SMEs are. And I just want to, this is a question that I'm going to ask Laure, but I'm going to ask you all as well, because you might all have a perspective. But I want to ask the first question to Laure, also because she has been, besides being SAP and SAP being one of the companies behind the initiative, she is one of our experts in the test beds, in the AI spaces. And I want to hear from you, Laure, how do you see the AI spaces fitting in this initiative?
Yeah, first of all, I'm not involved in all those, so I'm not a specialist in this area. But I think, yeah, I mean, this is very important for SAP, definitely, because until everyone is using SAP, we need, I mean, that will be the ideal world, that there's no problem, everybody use it, so that's it. No, it's, I mean, all the, you mentioned the value chain, but all the logistics, so all the supply chain inside the manufacturing as well, those processes are important, and it's not only large industry, there are plenty of providers, plenty of SMEs along the chain. And this interoperability is always the you know, the showstopper, or the where, you know, it's not going so well. So this is very important from this point of view, to optimize, to be more efficient, to be more sustainable at the end of the day, and to get more value with the minimum effort. So definitely that's important. now going back to your question, sorry. So iSpaces, and that will be a transition to the ceremony. As SAP and as with Siemens, with all the colleagues, when we founded the BDVA, we were looking at, okay, those research topic, those so data value, etc. But iSpaces was a concept that we created from the beginning, saying how important is it to bring together the different actors. And not just on the, okay, this was good for SMEs to access the technology, to use it, to interact with the others. So all those technical aspects are important, but also the business models, the different process, etc. And what we defined almost 10 years ago is still true. I mean, this is still, I mean, we can call it different names, but this, I mean, bringing the people together and really having this interoperability, defining standards, also very important, of course, and you cannot go outside your yard or outside your country if you don't have any standards. So this way of doing is still true, and it's a flexible concept. I mean, you can do what you want with it. I mean, there are plenty of things you can do inside the iSpaces, and but you can choose or do only part of it. But that's and we have seen in action. This was a really theory at the beginning. Now we have plenty of examples, and you know, if those different data spaces could collaborate between them, that is already a starting point here, but that's what we want to achieve. And here, it's also, you know, it's also a way, like, especially SMEs, they will not do everything. They will not define the technology and do the business model and do this and do this. So having access to this and sharing with the others is the only way for them to get to market. So that's where it's important, and I hope as a community, as BDVA, we play a role here. I hope we push at this. At least I know also in interaction with the Commission, the concept was evolving and demonstrating that, okay, it's not just an ideal, perfect way of going, but this is really those seeds that we need to follow.
That's great, and you're right. We have a session just after this one where we will talk a lot about, not a lot, but a bit about the iSpaces and the federation. And now the federation is European, but there is already interest out of Europe. So I think actually the whole, so we federated the labs in Europe, but as interest grow, I think actually I find both initiatives very complementary. So thank you. We have some minutes extra. I want to know whether any of you wants to comment on the SME topic. You wanted to comment, Oscar.
Yes, just to complement a little bit on what Laure was introducing. Probably some of the people in this room is aware that the European Commission has actually invested a big amount of resources as part of the Digital Europe to build a very comprehensive network of European digital innovation hubs that is covering basically every region in Europe. And as part of this effort, the Commission has initiated a thematic working group that is dealing with the issue of data in manufacturing. And one of the main or the first things that have been identified by the hubs themselves is the need of being provided with a solid knowledge foundation in terms of support SMEs in creating this data in manufacturing. They call it community of practice, because at the end of the day, the International Manufacturing X Council will provide very clear guidelines in terms of standards, in terms of guidelines, how to approach the issue of global manufacturing networks. But these iSpaces, they have been maturing through the years. Now we have platinum iSpaces that are really key drivers of this network So I think there is a big opportunity that in connecting the work that iSpaces are doing with the possibilities that this European network of digital innovation hubs will bring once we set up the foundations of these guidelines, recommendations, and standards. I think we have a very powerful instruments with iSpaces as part of this network, really to provide a very clear and consistent message in terms of how to address and approach the issue of data in manufacturing and SMEs. So maybe something to work a little bit in the next panels and years to come.
Indeed, but Oscar, it's such a great information because you might know that I think it's 97% of the iSpaces are part of the EDIT network and actually not only representing one but several EDIs. So this is fantastic news. And also Oscar informed me that many of the iSpaces are actually part of this network on data manufacturing. So then we are really building very strong bridges here to support SMEs in data manufacturing. So this is great. Just to close a bit the panel, we've been talking about the vision, we've been talking about how the European initiatives are connected to this vision, we've been talking also about how different associations like ours can support, how different industries see the initiative, and the importance of standards, SMEs. Thomas, tell us more.
The last words for me. Yeah, okay. Also, first of all, many thanks. I think looking in some eyes from some people here sitting, not specific one, I think it was very good. Where I'm, to be honest, personally be proud of. And first of all, I thought, oh my God, now we have kept our timing, and the US is delayed. That's okay in general. But nevertheless, what I really like, and maybe you have heard it, it was a repetition for us. And this was a repetition not only from the slides, but also from the messages. And I think that was, I not only used the slides which were shown before, but he said also comparable topics. Yes, a German person speaking a little bit more, not so marketing oriented like a person from the US, but the message at the end was the same. And I think this is a big achievement because it's giving us a foundation really to work together on it. And that's all from my side. Many thanks. Okay, thank you. And I really thank you and Ernst for giving me the opportunity to be here today moderating. And also I really thank the audience for being with us. Big applause for all the panelists, please. Perfect. And now, I mean, we have a mini break, but it's only a couple of minutes because we will start in a couple of minutes the ceremony of the iSpaces. So don't go out. And the drinks are not there yet, so. And I would like to ask the colleagues in the control room, where we put a bit of music to create the atmosphere for the upcoming slot that will come with a keynote and then with nice celebration with the iSpaces. Thank you very much, and thank you to the panelists.